The ambassador, what he didn't say was he was, um, the strategic advisor for, in the Middle East for many of the transformational years in the Middle East, in Dubai, in Abu Dhabi, in Saudi Arabia over the last 40 years. So he's had an inside view. And part of the reason I wanted to, for the ambassador to, conclude today's session is that we heard a lot of these ideas. We've seen a lot of countries go through, we saw Singapore, a relatively small population, go through transformation. Dubai, 2 million people go through an amazing transformation. We see India, 1.5 billion people going through, rapid transformation. China, all of this. But how does it happen? And it looks like it's some kind of magic or miracle or this. It's not. It's actually, there's a fair amount of luck, of course, but there's also a method to it. So I want to dig deep about these models, these things, we've kind of ignored it, but actually there's a lot of research, and because this is an educational opportunity also to remember there's, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are a lot of research being done, how these systems are built, how these countries are built. So thank you, sir, for joining us.
You're welcome, Asanka. Thank you.
I wanted to dig a little bit deeper. Maybe you can speak about like how, Dubai built the tourism.
Well, I think it's all about aspiration, right? So it's a very clear model. The first is the aspiration part. The second pillar is a segmentation. That is the product segmentation. What product you build to match the aspiration. The second is integrated marketing communication strategy. Hello?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, the integrated marketing communication strategy. So you first do build product, then you decide the market, which is go-to-market strategy, right? Then obviously, how do you make this service quality to match the markets that are segmented, right? The fourth is a national policy, that how do you build a policy framework around that, right? And then how do you, the last pillar is, how do you engage that with the global trade? So Dubai has found a beautiful way to connect these 5, 6 pillars together, and had made one of the most sought after destination in the world, and I think it's totally unprecedented, but I think hats off to UAE leadership, and I think it has made a very, very beautiful tourism destination. Thank you, Asanka.
Thank you. I wanted to open up to the audience for, I have 2 pages of questions, but I wanted to ask the audience if the audience have any questions for the ambassador. Okay, we'll continue. So I wanted to go dig a little deeper. In Sri Lanka, if you look at, where can we start?
Asanka, I think, first of all, we need entrepreneurial Sri Lanka. So a startup like India has done, we need a village level a startup culture. So to do that, we need to build literacy. Literacy is misunderstood in Sri Lanka, I think, because ability to write and read, people call literacy, but I think I want to go beyond. I think entrepreneurial literacy, the IT literacy, and social literacy, and so on, has to come to the villages, and somebody has to lead the startup like India has done. I think this way we will ignite the village economy, and I think that's the first game changer I suggest for Sri Lanka.
Thank you, sir. If you have any questions, please raise your hand, but otherwise I'll keep asking some. So I want to dig a little bit more deeper about Dubai, or how are they forecasting? What do you see this area going?
Well, Asanka, I think UAE in particular, leading in every particular cluster, be that climate, be that investment, be that aviation with Emirates Etihad. This country is leading in every single aspect. So although it's unprecedented, it's real. So I think the unprecedented, the growth of the UAE is on the way. In fact, I'm writing a book about that. So I'm very engaged with this country. And I think sky is the limit. And I think this is totally, extraordinary story.
You mentioned like a framework, right? You competitive advantage and comparative advantage. You showed a framework. How is that framework actually used in these countries?
See, what we do is, like I told you, the excellence model, right? So what happened is, every department, all the leaders are trained in the excellence model, and this cascade to every single staff in the organization. So in this manner, suppose Minister of whatever the technology and agriculture, all understand the bigger picture, right? In this manner, it's cascaded, aligned, the speed comes from that, right? So for example, the corporate objectives and corporate strategy all are totally aligned, and with one vision, one goal, so that comes the innovation and the speed, right? So that's why the power of strategy tools. And in fact, Asanka, as you know, you are with my LinkedIn, I'm doing a LinkedIn series for strategy tools, writing 50 of them, I think about 10 is written, to as be an evangelist, try and tell people that the strategy tools are the part of the game. I know I did a CA event in Dubai for the Middle East, and I asked about 300 chartered accountants and their CEOs and so on. So I asked them how many people in that room use strategy tools day to day for the work, and only 2 people. So that's although they learn, but they are very shy in using in the workplace. That prevent other people learning it, right? So they're not creating scientific environment to navigate. That's a problem. So I urge everyone to use the strategy tools, and please do get engaged with me on my LinkedIn, and I'm trying to promote this as much as I can, because I know how important it is.
Thank you, sir. There's a question on the back from
Hi.
Mr. Jeevan.
Yeah, just thank you for creating this learning environment. Just a quick question on investments, because I know Dubai has a lot of investments going in, and one of the problems we see in the startup ecosystem here, like a benchmark is 5% of the GDP should go into startup. Last year we did 0.0014% into startup, right? How do you suggest that we kickstart investments into startup and the startup ecosystem, given your background in Dubai?
See, I think the key is not just a startup, investor pitch. If you don't know how to pitch the investor, it's very difficult to get investment in. In fact, when I teach my mini MBA, the startup investor pitch is one of my subjects, because the investor doesn't understand the language you are speaking to them. So I think the technique of investor pitch has a format, and not applying that has a problem. So I think Sri Lanka needs to, the people who are in startup, that's why I said startup literacy has to be gone up. So that's where you can get right investor, because they need one pager basically. And so what I did was, I built an investment model for Sri Lanka about 2-3 months ago. How can we increase FDI to Sri Lanka? So I'm not just here preaching, I'm also trying to make sure this happens for Sri Lanka, because I think Sri Lanka deserves this timely intervention of regenerating and getting the right FDIs. We have a lot of opportunities here, but pitching investor probably is still far away than the other countries, so there's a gap. Thank you.
Mr. Rajiv.
Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, listening to you, you sounded more like a CEO of a company, speaking from a strategic perspective, and I guess your country is lucky to have you as an ambassador. Congratulations for that, sir. My question to you essentially is, you gave examples of what's happening in the Middle East. Replicating similar models in vibrant, noisy democracies is not easy. You need tough leaders to take that forward. How do you think you could replicate those kind of models in vibrant democracies like Sri Lanka, like India, other places in the world, where, let's say, the political imperative is to speak to the vote bank?
I think this answer was given by Mr. Deepak Bagla this morning. I think a very complex country like India became the largest FDI country, the largest startup country. So they broke all the barriers. That's why I was so inspired in such a complex country. How did they manage? So I think people like Mr. Bagla who took the leadership, and as he said, from only he started with 2 people, ended up with 450 Indians who were so passionate about the country, and they left top jobs. And he said that 70 to 93% they could cut. I mean, the payment cut was acceptable, but they came to rebuild Sri Lanka. So I think we need that level of environment where it is for us to get aspiration and support of our people. As I said, the brain drain is so high, and I think we need to engage, I think, Asanka with this forum to get maximum support from the Sri Lankans overseas. And if they don't even come, I think there's a way to engage with them with their talent and their knowledge. So I think if India could do such a small country like Sri Lanka, I think it's quite easily can be done with very skillful Sri Lankans in the country, and it's a 24 million country, so I think it's very much attainable. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for all of you being patient, I know, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please give a warm welcome.
Thanks again to Honorable Udaya Indrarathna